Hey, everybody, welcome to We the People Talk. I am one of your hosts, David L. Lester-Massey from the legal department, and I'd like to take this moment to again thank you, welcome, joining us. I'm going to introduce the rest of my co-host panelists. First of all, from the Gavin headquarters, Miss Melissa. From the House of Shade, Mr. Johnny. Lady Smart, Miss Jill. And our resident wild card, Wes. Now let's see all of the co-hosts. Hey, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Again, thank you all so much for coming together. And this is our debut. This is the debut of We the People Talk. If you are just joining, make sure that you like, you share, and comment in the comment section on your screen. So,
yes,
gonna talk today about everything you can probably think of under the sun, but we're gonna start with current events. We're gonna talk about pop culture, and of course, we're probably all church kids. So it's gonna be some church sprinkle in the middle of there. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Current events. I was completely floored and blown away when I saw the headlines that talked about a homeless man who was arrested in Nashville, Tennessee for what? Not being homeless, not being unkempt, not
talk
smelling,
about it, friend.
but for not
what was he doing?
adhering to
Starting
the
so
mask,
early.
to wearing a mask in public. Wes, you live in the Nashville area. Can you tell me more about this story?
Yes, so everybody knows we're in the year of Rona and things are crazy. And so right now in Nashville, our numbers are crazy and they're super high. And so this past week, an article came out that has really taken Nashville by storm and everything has gone crazy about it. But they took a homeless guy to jail for not wearing a mask. And unfortunately, it is a situation to where you don't want to make it a race thing, but it kind of boils down to that because you see people walking downtown every day without masks. For example, I was downtown yesterday and it was a group of Caucasian people, no mask, and they had signs that literally said, "Kiss my mask," with the word ass in the middle of it. But you take a man who doesn't have means to jail. Now, I brought this up in another conversation, and it was supposedly, allegedly, the man had a mask in his pocket. However, what we don't know if that mask was operable, if it was broken or not. So it's just really sad to see this. So like Jill and her on her end, some people have helped this guy out personally. And then myself, I'm linking up with other people so we can go and pass out masks to the homeless in the next couple of weeks because that's not fair. People like ourselves are very fortunate to have houses or homes to go to, healthcare, and you take somebody to jail who doesn't have the means. And if you go to a simple store like Walmart right now, a box of masks costs $14.
Exactly.
What is he to do?
Right. Yeah, and I think we should just call it for what it is. It is racism. Period. There were groups of people that were in Nashville that we've read articles about. There was a big bust up of a home party that they had, an illegal home party, where, if I'm not mistaken, it was up to 50 to 100 people at this particular house party of translucent people. And these individuals did not get cited. They didn't get arrested or anything like that. The police just came to the house, basically told them they need to chill out. I don't know if the party was disbanded, but at the end of the day, they were not arrested. We also know that downtown Nashville is a hot box for partying for translucent and or white people. So at the end of the day, and these people this is a consistent basis. The news was looking last night online. I was watching some of the clips. There were people walking all up and down Broadway. There were people walking all up and down by the stadium, by the Titan Stadium, things like that. with no mask on in groups, in large groups of people. And at the end of the day, the chief of police in Nashville and Davidson County said that they weren't going to cite any people. They weren't going to cite anyone for not wearing masks. However, it's funny that the first person that does get cited and or arrested is a person of color, and that is homeless. Yeah. And it speaks to the volume of what's happening in Nashville, which is a huge gentrification situation going on right now, of where there's a complete takeover of gentrification in that particular area, and where pretty much they just don't want homeless people in the area to mess up what they're trying to accomplish. So that's my take on it.
And another thing, did I hear that I'm sorry, did I hear that the charges were dropped?
They did. Of course, you know,
the charges were dropped because a lot of people in the city have made a big funk about it, because it's just not right. And then another day or so after that, another post came out to say that if he would have had something as simple as a beer in his hand, he wouldn't have had to go to jail, because you can't eat or drink with a mask on. So that's complete bull too. You know, it's not right, because like I said, I was just downtown yesterday, and it's all, like Jill said, translucent people walking around freely with no mask and signs, just, you know, disappropriating what we're supposed to be doing to help our community get better. And on top of that, it took all of this to happen for even the mayor of Nashville to step up and say, oh, now we're going to start citing people for not wearing masks. You should have been did it, because the law has been in effect for over a month now.
Yeah, gotcha. I think it's just sad and unfortunate all the way around. Of course, I have my opinions about a whole lot of things. But speaking of having my opinions on a whole lot of things, we did say we were going to talk about pop culture. And there's this new album out by these two ladies.
What their name is, friend?
I don't know what I'm saying, so I can't tell you what their name is. No, I believe it's Cardi B. And what's the other baby name?
Megan Thee Stallion.
Megan Thee Stallion. W-A-P.
Lord
have
mercy.
Lord have mercy.
James Hall, worship and praise.
Worship and praise.
Worship and praise.
I told y'all we was churchy. I told y'all we was churchy. You might just come on in and get with it. If you're just joining, make sure that you like, share, and comment in the comments section. We want to hear from you.
Yes.
When I saw
the comments are coming in.
I said, "Oh, that against that James Hall."
Now listen. I honestly did not expect for the song to be what it was. I don't know what I was thinking it was going to be. I wasn't even thinking worship and praise. I was one of those that was like, okay, what are they? What WAP? What does this mean? I need to know. We, the people, want to know.
Look.
So has anybody heard the actual song?
Yes.
Okay, so you've heard it.
Yes.
What are your thoughts about the song?
Honestly,
go ahead, Wes.
Honestly speaking, it gave me, I'm sure Jill will probably say the same, it gave me a modern day version of Lil' Kim, Foxy Brown. You know, Gangsta Boo, yeah.
It was
I will say the video was done tastefully.
Yes.
Really?
The video was done tastefully.
So even though the lyrics are kind of raunchy, the actual video was done tastefully. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. Compared to Tip Drill and Luke and all of those videos, I mean, we act like this is new. This is not new. This is basically
it's not.
Old to Lil' Kim's Crush on You video. If you're in our era of the 30 crew, you know hip hop, and you've seen Lil' Kim's Crush on You video or Foxy Brown's videos, and you've heard their lyrics. This is not new.
Right.
This is not new. This is an ode. To me, it seemed like an ode straight to Lil' Kim's Crush on You video.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. But is it new? It's not new.
Yeah, it's not new at all. And I've been seeing a lot. Yeah, go ahead, Jill.
No, I'm done.
No, I was saying I've been seeing a lot of a lot of parents talking about them being role models. Well, you need to start the role model start with you at home. So you probably ain't been a good role model for your own child. So we'll start there.
Well, why is it that this role? I'm confused about this role model tidbit, because we always want to throw, just because they're a celebrity, that they have to automatically be some kind of role model for someone. And I think that's where we kind of mess up, is trying to put these tags on people. And not to say that they can't be role models to some capacity, because we don't know what they do outside of their artistry. You know what I mean? Like they can be great people. This is just what they do to make money. This is their artistry. This is what they were born to do. But I mean, why do they have to be your child's role model?
Well, I think they have to be Go ahead, Mo. Go ahead, Mo.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think there's always a responsibility when you're out front, right?
Yeah.
Growing up as a pastor's kid, you know, there is a level of responsibility that my brother and I had, because we were the people that everyone saw on a consistent basis, because they saw my father. So I do believe that there is a level of responsibility when you are out front. Again, they're rappers. They're rappers.
Gotcha.
They are female rappers. So I don't think, is it wrong? Is it bad? That's relative to you. I do think, though, that charity begins at home and it spreads abroad. Amen. My parents didn't allow me to listen to certain types of music, but I snuck and listened to it anyway. So does that mean that I'm a wayward child? No, it just means that I like listening to other things other than gospel at that time. All young people do it, and they still do it. So do I think it's wrong? No, it's a music video. These are rap artists. This is what they're doing to bring entertainment, and take it for what it is. We're not playing WAP in church. Not playing WAP at school, you know.
So if we're talking about some of these parents need to be disinfected.
Hold on.
That is our resident wild card. He's gonna disinfect the people. But but just like Miss Jill said and Lady Smart said, that this is nothing new. Speaking of nothing new, that's on the music front. We also heard this week, within the last couple of weeks, about old television shows. Namely, Moesha. How that's coming back around. And even though it's, for us who are in a certain age bracket, it's not new, but there are a group of kids that are growing up now that are just seeing this show. Yeah, may have never seen any of the other characters on anything else. So in their mind, this is new to them. But what's being called out is, I think, a whole lot of issues. I think the character that was a Hakeem that would come over, never spend time at his own house, would spend most of his time with Moesha's family. What was Moesha's best friend's name?
Kim and Niecy.
Kim and Niecy, but namely Kim, Countess Vaughn. And they would talk about her weight, or some of the jokes that would come across about her weight. Did anybody else hear about this story?
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
I mean, just pointing out, like, of course, they're wanting to say Moesha was toxic. The show was toxic. I mean, the show was an ode to what was happening currently at that time. And to be honest, it's kind of currently still happening. If we were still students at that time going to school, I mean, kids can be cruel. And so, you know, people are going to make comments and things like that are not necessarily positive, you know, towards someone's, you know, whether it's their weight or whether it's how they look or what have you. But to put Moesha's show in just like this box now of saying, why didn't we realize this back then? And this show was toxic. It's like, listen, this was a show. And Moesha's show is not as toxic as some of the other shows that we have seen in years past. So to put this show in a box, I think it's more so the newer generation, the younger generation now is just kind of seeing it. And they're like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that. Because they're more conscious now. And I think
of course. Yes. We live in a different world now. We live in a different world. And
speaking of a different world, that's another show that was brought up.
Yes, it was.
Misogyny of was it Ron's character on the show?
Yes, the misogyny of Ron. Right. My friend Joe said it's a good show. Chill out.
But nobody talks about it.
We agree, Joe.
I'm just like, why we at Moesha. I'm like, I love that show. I kind of hate how they cut it off. Like, we never knew what happened. What happened to the brother? What happened to Ray J? Did they ever find him? Did they ever
Right.
Do we know?
But see,
Yeah, I think
even on a different world, nobody talks about it. Yes, they see the character of Ron and how misogynistic he was, but nobody's talking about Whitley.
true.
She came from an affluent family.
Yeah.
She had her labels.
She
went on trips.
Brat.
And she was a spoiled brat. But where
she talked down to everybody.
Everybody. It didn't matter who you were. You was getting
Everywhere with everyone. Everywhere with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But where are we seeing that today? What are some similarities to Whitley's character today?
Mm-hmm.
We see it on college campus, period. If we think about our college experiences in a different world, even though we didn't go to HBCUs, all of us went to PWI. Well, Mo, you have a dual experience. You know, you got
I did a little bit of both.
HBCU experience, but we saw that. We saw these experiences. We saw these same scenarios happening on our campuses, and I'm sure Mo, you saw it at Wiley as well. You know, so
yes, you did.
Not to say that it's okay, but I mean,
Well, I think where social media has given everyone an opportunity to have an opinion, just like we are sitting gathering together with our opinions. But the reality is, you don't know what you don't know. And so at that time, to us, Moesha was our bread and butter. The Cosby Show was our bread and butter. A Different World was our bread and butter. All these shows. And yet, when we fast forward to where we are today, we have seen how we have idolized these characters, and some of the actors that have played these characters have let us down. They've disappointed us, but the reality is they are human. They make mistakes. The difference between us and them is that they are out front. And just like I said at the beginning, there is a responsibility, but at the same time, everyone falls short. How you continue to progress. Now that we are more conscious, now we understand it's not okay to make a plus size girl, what's up, girls? To make a plus size girl feel like she is less than because she's not like someone who is skinnier than her. We know that that's wrong. So when we watch the show, it's left a bad taste in our mouth. But the reality is, back then, we all laughed and we enjoyed it. So enjoy it for what it was. It was a memory, a moment in time, but let's move on. We don't need to criticize, because then we diminish the show as a whole.
Yeah, and Mo, that's a good point. But it also goes to those issues and those things are still happening today.
Yes.
So why put so much criticism on that show? And people are still doing it. I could keep going about that, but I won't.
Well, we just need to progress. However, now that we recognize it, now we can speak truth to power on it and become better, as opposed to always criticize. All you do is criticize. But
what happens when you are so engulfed in a show that it makes you feel like you are a part of every single character's story? Speaking of, this past week, spoiler alert, if you have not seen the show, Greenleaf.
Oh,
I think everybody who was watching the show at the time it aired took a collective sigh of this gasp, like, no.
If
but
anybody
we knew
asks
the show was coming to an end. We just didn't know how.
Where I'm going.
Where I'm going.
You better sing, sis.
Where the bitch
If you go, sis. What you want to say, sis?
Where I'm going.
I'm gonna give it to you.
I'm going up yonder. The bishop went up yonder.
But Bishop is, and you got people talking about, oh, we gonna pray for him. Bishop gonna be okay, baby. I have seen a whole obituary for Bishop Greenleaf. Like
me too.
Are y'all serious?
I cannot.
I'm talking about with honorary pallbearers and scriptures, and I'm like, are y'all kidding me? This is
they got Kobe Mitchell down for the eulogy, y'all.
What are y'all doing? forgot to look and see who's gonna preach his eulogy. But that's a
Colby
fictional
Mitchell.
show. Yeah,
Fictional, yeah.
that's a fictional show, and we enjoy. I know I did. I enjoyed the series.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the entire show, all the characters, and even
Yeah.
their backstories. And we'll be tuning in for the series finale. I believe it's on Tuesday on OWN.
Yes.
So even with that, but that's a fictional show. I'm sure they're gonna have the last funeral for Bishop Greeley. You hear me?
Wasn't our soul blessed by this show?
He better have them.
Didn't our hearts burn?
The show was amazing. It was amazing.
it was great.
But that was a fictional show. What happened a couple of weeks ago at an actual funeral?
Baby.
Are we gonna talk about it? We the people.
I'm gonna cue it first. Let me help you out on that. I'm gonna cue the music. Y'all give me 1 second. Y'all just pause for the cause. I'm gonna cue the music.
If you are just watching, make sure you like, you comment, and you share this page right now.
Yes, God.
Because we ain't got no sense.
Y'all, David said he wants us to have the funeral. Bishop needs to still have his funeral.
I'm gonna give y'all a good 30 seconds of this tragedy.
What songs we need to sing?
Let's see.
Lord, is that crack need to be disinfected. On that last crack she did.
Oh,
God, here it go.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, no.
Turn the sound up. Do we have sound?
Where is Mother? Mother.
What is these angel?
Sound.
What is these angel? But what is these angel wings?
Can we hear Mother sing?
Oh,
Whoa. Mother trying to go get.
I gotta pause.
We couldn't hear.
Pause. What was
We
that?
couldn't hear it. We couldn't hear it.
we couldn't hear it.
You can hear it.
couldn't hear it. You know what? I'm gonna get it back another time. Y'all keep going. Let's talk about
Mother tried to go get it. She said,
I'm gonna try it. I'll keep going.
I would say this as a person who is a musician who
I'm
has
gonna get
sang
it for
at
y'all, friend. Keep going.
countless films, countless, so many I cannot name. I'm gonna tell you that if you are not a singer in church, do not ask that person to sing at your loved one's funeral.
Cause we're gonna
bring your
disinfect
R&B
you.
self over here. Don't bring your
Don't do
R&B
that.
self over here.
We gonna come right up to the mic and we gonna spray you.
cleaner and bleach.
Disinfected is what
We
you
gonna
need
spray
to be.
You know what? You know what the real gag is?
Gathering.
Everything, she was made famous because she sang I'm telling you, right? But she now sings every song like that.
Yeah,
and I
realize
got the clip for y'all. I got the clip back.
Oh, please,
I know
bring
you're
us
gonna
the
work
clip.
on it. Y'all know.
I said, go get it, Mom.
Right.
The house of shade never disappoints.
Ooh.
I'm gonna take y'all to where she was screaming though.
We got to be able to hear though.
She gotta go get it. We can't hear Mother.
You can't hear it?
No.
Okay. I'm gonna leave it alone. I'll leave it alone for next time. I'll share it in the comment section.
Y'all
And
go
this
back
is no
just pull up Jennifer Holiday, Precious Lord.
Somebody reenact.
What was the
ahead,
song?
Bill.
What was the song
Come
again?
on, Jim.
Precious Lord.
Lit.
I just know at the end, Mother said, "Oh!" I was like, "Girl, what? What?"
Leave me on. She said, It was right there.
I think some people should just stay in their lane.
Stay in your
Whatever
lane,
your lane is.
Mother couldn't get the no, but we, bless her heart.
So that was her. There was also one of the music greats, and I consider him a music great because he's been around for 25 plus years with the New Generation Chorale of
Yeah.
Chicago.
Oh, yes.
And this is our segment that we like to call "Can I Get an Amen?"
Can I? No.
So everybody went up in arms about, all of us church people went up in arms when we heard the Choir Master.
Oh, yeah. Boy, yes.
The album of Ricky Dillon and New G. And I'm telling you, I love every song. There wasn't one song that I did not listen to and absolutely go in for. So I love it.
It's an amazing album. It is.
But speaking of staying in your lane, though,
Choir Master.
there was another album that came out maybe about, I think people would call that like an LP because it was only maybe, it was a sample, an EP. It was a sample. About four songs on there. And they remixed some stuff.
Uh-huh.
I think they're gonna play that in the club in Germany. I think they're gonna play the songs in Germany at the club.
I'm not doing this stuff.
You killed it up. Is that what we hearing?
That's what it was giving me. It was giving me techno church.
That's why I said they're gonna be playing that in Germany, like at the club.
I didn't. Okay. So we'll start with you, Mo. You've heard the album. It's kind of a house music remix of his songs. There was More Abundantly that was remixed.
Twice.
I think it was Glad to Be in the Service. Twice. Remixed twice. But it was set to, what we, and I know there are some Chicago house heads that they live the house music. I would love to know what some of those people thought of that album. But Mo, if you've heard it, I know you've heard at least one or two songs on the album, right? On that sampler.
Yes, I have.
Is it an amen or no, man?
Well, it can be.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Let me tell you why it can be both.
No.
I'm so sorry. It's just gonna have to be a no for me. I'm sorry. But let me say this: the reason why I was still gonna give it an amen is because he really is trying to like erase the color line. Theo 92.3. Y'all may not understand the reference, but anyways, maybe he's just trying to reach out to those people out there, like like in France and stuff. When you go to those clubs, they're playing house music, but it could be literally anything. So that's why I would say maybe that's the reason he was inspired. I don't know. But it's still a no.
I feel like in another week we're gonna see all the J setting to this. Throwing counts. You're gonna see somebody in the club doing a show. It's coming. I just want y'all to know. It's coming.
It's a whole mess.
It's reaching out. It's reaching.
No, it's reaching. No. Hold on. I agree, it's reaching. And not to the highest mountain.
Probably on to the lowest valley.
This is not the first time that he's done it. Because he's done it successfully before.
True.
Right. Yeah. I'm gonna see if I can
he did it on the 10th album.
I'm one that enjoys
and Jesus is the Light on that album too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm this over
time. But it was one song. He stepped out on faith. He did 6 songs. He stepped out.
He stepped out on faith.
Right. You gotta walk by faith and not by sight.
But the song that I'm talking about was called "Take Me Higher."
I remember that.
Now that was done correctly. I could understand everything they were saying. I understood the lead. I understood the song itself.
Right.
I sent it to our tech person. Maybe they can pull it up. It's Ricky Dillon and Vanessa Mitchell. Turn it up a little bit.
No, that's not bad, but that's not what happened in this new song.
No.
But yeah, you can play this in church.
Yeah.
This album, we can't play that in church at all.
We can't play the techno.
Because I couldn't even understand what the people were saying. I mean, I knew that they were saying more abundantly, but that's it. Like, I didn't understand any of what the people were saying. Like, who mixed this? It's a knob.
Ricky did.
It's a knob. But can we just talk about Choir Master as a whole then?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Wait. No, Jill, give me, is it an amen or a no man for the sampler?
This is a no. It's a no for me.
It hurts so bad to say Ricky Dillon and nah in the same sentence.
Because I can't do it. Because I can't do it.
So, it's okay. We're allowed to we all have one tonight.
I'm gonna say it's a no for this particular song. It's a no.
No, I'm like sorry, my mic. It's a no for me.
No, Ricky.
But
yeah.
As far as his music catalog,
okay,
and more particularly his latest release, the Choir Master. What is does that get an amen or a no man?
It gets a
triple amen. Yeah, it's a that he
even
did
gets
that.
Hey.
And I would say this, but let me say this. I would say this from a branding aspect. I've watched his last several albums from like, what was it, 10 all the way up to now. He stepped his game all the way up. Now, I don't know how his back is working because he be bending and doing all that, but his music is like everything. Everything. He's killing it. So from a branding aspect, he's taking it to another level.
And I will say, so Ricky Dillon, this album, they are now, New G is under the Motown umbrella. Okay, so now they're under the Motown Christian umbrella right now for this particular album. And so that's why there was a lot of great marketing with this, because in years past, we remember just kind of like the church crowd, we knew about New G was getting ready to come out with an album, but there was a lot of publicity for it. And that's because they have the backing now of Motown. So I'm really glad that now that he has this backing, because it seems like Ricky actually got back to the real roots of New G, which is straight choir music. And that's what I missed. I mean, not to say that the other past few 3 and 4 albums weren't good because they were New G. I mean, you can't go wrong with it. However, this was straight choir, classic choir, church music. You can sing any one of those songs at your church at any particular time after Roma. So, you know, the Choir Master was brilliant. I mean, bravo, Ricky. I mean, it's Ricky Dillon.
Yeah, it was a good album.
As a choir director myself, I'm telling you, I have listened to Ricky for most of my adult life.
And being a Chicagoan.
And the Chicago, yes, a native Chicago.
Hello.
I remember when I was so intimidated that I could not get that whole joy part at the Vamp of More Abundantly. I felt so defeated until I took that album home, that one song home, stood in my mirror, and I played it over and over and over again until I got it. That's a lesson to you directors.
Come on, David.
If you're going to get up here before these singers, know what you're doing. And I'm talking about know what you're doing from left to right and from side to side. It's not enough for you to just know the song. You got to make sure the people standing in front of you know the song. You got to make sure the people that's playing the song know the song. It's not just about you. But also on the other side of that, don't come up there being weak as a director. Don't do it. See, I got a whole lot. That's later. That's later.
No.
Hold on. You can't be up there like this, and that.
No.
Let's stay there.
Absolutely not.
We're going to stay there for a second.
Speaking of which, you know, James Carr has an album coming out too. WAP, the real WAP.
The real WAP. Come on, WAP.
The real WAP. WAP is coming strong. James is about to bring us an album.
James Hall?
Yes, he gave us a tidbit about a month ago. The live that they did at the Citadel, and they did one of the newer songs at that particular live concert. So the real WAP. They're about to come.
Not the real WAP.
James and Ricky.
That's interesting.
That would be
poll time. Drop it in the comment section, y'all.
James or Ricky Dillon.
Y'all, that's
battle between Ricky and James New G.
That's almost not fair. That's almost not fair. That ain't right. That ain't right.
We about to do album because I can't.
I'm okay with that.
But I did want to say this about Ricky, and James Hall too. Their ability, and we understand this as directors. It's a fast wheel. from one concert to the next, from one group of people that you're working with to the next, because people move on. But they have been able to preserve. I think I saw Harley say that, preserve choir music and give us something to work with. Amen.
Amen.
Because a lot of the music now that we're hearing, it's more leaned toward worship. And so, but we're still in the South. So in the South, they still like church.
Yeah.
They still need that foot stomp. They still need that drive. And so I appreciate James and Ricky Ford, well, choir master, for just preserving and keeping us always ahead of the curve. No matter, I mean, they've been doing this for so long. So I just want to give them a shout out. But it's still a no, Ricky, on the last. Well, we love you.
So both of them did God is in Control.
They did.
Now we know James Hall is the creator of God is in Control. Both of them. Who did it better, Ricky or James?
I'm going with James. I'm gonna go with James.
I think the vocals James has, the instrumentation.
Ricky, that's the same thing for sure.
So if you combine both of those, you'd have a slammer song.
And the intros are different. If you listen to the intro, one of the, they have, it's very different, but yeah. And I think that's the difference with James Hall. I think that's what we get with him because he's an actual musician. He plays. He's an amazing organist. I mean, geez. So that's what we get with James Hall. But yeah, that's a versus for you. I want to see it. Versus people. Timberland.
Versus people, yes.
Hello, can you hear us?
Put that together.
Hey, friend. Hezekiah's heart because that sound was James and John, but Hezzy and John, but we want to see James Hall and Ricky do. We want to see. The choir,
right, the choir directors, please stand up. Let it be known.
Please, we want to know exactly who you are. We want to know who you are. But if I can, for just a moment, just reel back one layer. Can we go back to Greenleaf for 1 second? I promise we're gonna move on. We're gonna let y'all go. But there was a segment in the show, maybe about 2 episodes back, where Grace's long lost son came into the picture, and he tried to commit suicide.
Yes,
she found him on the floor in blood, and then the intro to the next episode from that one, because that ended one episode, and then when the next episode came on, it came right into him being in the hospital. And the reason why he said that the reason why he had tried to commit suicide is because he had been in jail, and while he was in jail, he was raped while he was there. And not only was he raped, but then the man that raped him also transmitted HIV to him. So I have my thoughts about that entire scenario, but I think people would kind of know my thoughts on it, but I want to hear from you. I want to hear from the rest of my panel, because to me, I'll give you one thought. To me, if you were going to introduce this topic into a show, don't do it when the show is on the way out. You can never really understand the backstory of what actually happens, and it kind of adds stigma to believe with people not having a whole lot of correct information about how HIV is transmitted or contracted. But then you have those people who are ignorant at all. They hear HIV and they immediately run. They completely shut down. They don't want to know anymore. But if this is the only introduction that they have to HIV, you would introduce it in a way where it is violent, it is malicious, it is male on male, it is in the African American community. So those are my thoughts. Just David speaking.
I agree.
I would love to know what you all think. And our people that are joining us, watching us, leave your comments in the comment section. We would love to know
everybody.
Like, share, comment right now. Go ahead, Wes.
I agree, David. And it when it was done, I feel like it was done very piss poorly because a lot of us on this platform are advocates for something in some form or fashion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you introduce things like HIV or AIDS, rape, and all that stuff, you have to leave the people with something to help them if they're going through that situation. Just don't, like you said, just don't bring it at the end of the series and then just drop it off like, oh, hey, well, he got HIV, he was raped. Okay, because it's people out there who are actually dealing with this stuff in real life.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're gonna bring it up, at least give the people the resources to give to them if they want to get that additional help and assistance. So I think in that aspect, that was poorly done. It was poorly done.
Yeah, it was the lack of education was kind of appalling because on past episodes when they dealt with the suicide aspect of it, they highlighted. They put the suicide prevention line on there, and they talked about suicide after the show. How they do like the little clips of if you're ever suicidal or depressed or what have you. They did the educational piece, but they did not do that in this aspect. And I don't know if it was because they're planning to do it later, because I don't know if everyone knows that there's going to be a spinoff of Greenleaf. So Greenleaf, as this entity is ending. However, there will be a spinoff, but when will that come about? Because of Rona, we don't know. However, I was a little appalled at the lack of education behind it. And like David said, they're introducing it now when we only had 3 episodes left when this happened. And so if they were going to do that, there still should have been some education behind it. For instance, when they took him to the doctor on the last episode and they said, they got him they got him to take his medication now and all that stuff or whatever. They could have done like a little segment like a commercial talking about what medicine is he taking now? Like, is he detectable anymore or things like that? They could have given us the educational aspect of this, and they didn't do that like they do every other thing. So I think that's the terrible stigma that it was almost kind of like perpetuated that they didn't really
and the thing too, Jill, he named the medication, so that was a perfect opportunity for that medication manufacturer to plug themselves in there. So it was a complete loss. It was a complete loss.
Well, I think what we have to remember is that this is still America, and people are scared to talk about the things that they are fearful of. There's always been a fear around these conversations, and I think they are making a step in the right direction. And hopefully they will seek guidance on this. Maybe there are more people who are pouring out, who are speaking out about this, just like we are. Because when I was watching, and I said, okay, well, are we just going to leave it there? We're not going to speak any more to it. We're not going to try to open up some way, somehow, something that says, we understand that this happens to people, and there are people that are watching this, that if they don't know someone, if it isn't someone in their immediate family, then they know someone of someone of someone. You know what I mean? And so I hope that not just us, that more people speak out about it to really get the attention that it needs, so that there won't be a stigma around it. Won't be a stigma around it.
And like David said, it goes back to just borderline, this bottom line education, because David made a great point of saying, it was male on male, it was black and sexual, and that's not the only way you can contract HIV. So it's the education. They lost a child. Where my spray?
But you know what? If I could play devil's advocate even on their behalf, one of the things that we've always had up until now, up until this current presidency, is that we've always had a governmental office for HIV and AIDS. And when the 45th president was inducted into office, one of his first actions
was to get
was
that
to
out of there.
completely demolish that entire program. There is no HIV.org. There is no AIDS.org. That was the first thing he took away when he got into office. So if you are, because we do our due diligence here on We the People Talk. So if you are, or if you know someone who is dealing with and living with HIV, you are welcome to go to www.davidandjohnny.org for more information to find out how you can either be tested or just hear from someone who has lived experience. And if you are newly diagnosed, we definitely want to hear from you because we want you to know that you are not alone. I want to thank all of my co-hosts. Miss Mo from the Gathered Headquarters. I want to thank Mr. Johnny, the House of Shade. Lady Smarts, Miss Jill. And of course, our resident wild card, Mr. Wes.